The ship came out of faster than light travel with a soft hum. Lieutenant Cole Harris stood at the window and looked at the planet below. It was beautiful. Purple clouds moved across green oceans. Mountains of crystal rose from the surface and caught the light of 3 suns. This was Volanthi Prime, home of the oldest civilization in the known galaxy. Cole took a deep breath. He was 32 years old. He had served in the Earth fleet for 10 years. He had been to dozens of planets and met many alien species. But this mission was different. This was the first official diplomatic visit between Earth and the Volanthi Empire. Everything depended on him doing this right. The Volanthi were ancient. They had been traveling between stars when humans were still living in caves. Their empire covered 12 star systems. Their technology was far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. And they had finally agreed to meet with humanity. Cole checked his uniform one more time. Blue jacket with gold buttons. Clean white shirt underneath. His brown hair was cut short and neat. His green eyes looked tired but determined. He had not slept much during the 3-week journey. He had spent every hour studying Volanthi culture, language, and customs. The shuttle took him down to the surface. A Volanthi official met him at the landing pad. The alien was tall, almost 7 feet. His skin was a soft blue color that seemed to glow from within. His eyes were silver, like liquid metal, and they showed no emotion as he looked at the human. "Lieutenant Harris," the official said. His voice was deep and musical. "I am Counselor Mithrin. I will take you to the palace." Cole bowed slightly, pressing his palms together as he had practiced. "Thank you, Counselor. I am honored to be here." Mithrin said nothing. He simply turned and walked toward a floating vehicle. Cole followed, trying not to stare at everything around him. The buildings were made of the same crystal as the mountains. They rose into the sky like frozen music. Volanthi people walked the streets in flowing robes of silver and gold. They all stopped to look at Cole as he passed. None of them smiled. The palace was the largest building Cole had ever seen. It sat on top of a hill in the center of the city. Its walls were white and gold, and they seemed to shine with their own light. Guards stood at every entrance. They carried weapons that Cole did not recognize, but he could tell they were dangerous. Ram led him through long hallways filled with paintings and statues. Cole saw images of Volanthi history, great battles, famous leaders, moments of triumph and tragedy. The Volanthi had been building their civilization for over 50,000 years. Humanity had been in space for less than 200. Finally, they reached a massive door. It was made of solid gold and covered with symbols that Cole could not read. "The throne room," Mithrin said. "The Emperor and the Princess will receive you now. Remember your training, human. One mistake could end this mission before it begins." Cole nodded. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his face calm. The doors opened, and he walked inside. The throne room was enormous. Hundreds of Volanthi nobles stood along the walls, watching in silence. At the far end of the room, 2 thrones sat on a raised platform. Emperor Kale Ventheri occupied the larger throne. He was old, even by Volanthi standards. His skin was pale purple, and his silver eyes had seen thousands of years pass. But Cole barely noticed the Emperor. His eyes were drawn to the figure on the smaller throne. Princess Alira Ventheri was the most beautiful being Cole had ever seen. Her skin was a deep violet that shifted to blue when the light touched it. Her hair was silver white and fell past her shoulders like a waterfall. Her eyes were the same liquid silver as all Volanthi, but there was something different in them. Something sharp and intelligent and proud. She looked at Cole, and her expression was cold. Cole walked forward slowly, counting his steps as he had been taught. When he reached the proper distance from the thrones, he stopped. He bowed deeply, pressing his palms together and lowering his head. "Your Imperial Majesty," he said in the Volanti language. He had practiced this greeting 1,000 times. "Your Royal Highness, I am Lieutenant Cole Harris of Earth. I bring greetings from my people and hope for friendship between our civilizations." He waited. The silence stretched on for a long moment. Then Princess Salira spoke. "A human speaks to me directly?" Her voice was like ice. Cole looked up and saw that her skin had shifted to a darker shade of violet. He had learned that this meant anger. "Your species has been among the stars for barely 2 centuries, she continued. "You have not built anything that will last. You have not created art that matters. You have not discovered truths that we did not know 10,000 years ago. And you dare to stand before me and speak as if you are my equal?" Cole felt his face grow hot. He had expected some resistance, but not this. Not open contempt. "Your Highness," he said carefully, "I meant no disrespect. I was told that this was the proper greeting for... You were told incorrectly." She stood from her throne and walked down the steps toward him. She was tall, almost as tall as he was, and up close she was even more beautiful. And even more angry. "Your people sent you here without proper knowledge of our ways. This is typical of humans. You rush forward without understanding. You speak without listening. You reach for things you have not earned." She turned to her father. "This human should not be in my presence. Send him away. Let him learn our customs properly before he dares to address a daughter of the Venthuri line." Emperor Kale had watched all of this in silence. Now he raised one hand. "My daughter speaks wisely," he said. His voice was quiet but carried through the entire room. "Lieutenant Harris, you will be given quarters in the outer palace. You will study our ways until you are ready to try again. Counselor Mithrin will be your teacher." Cole wanted to argue. He wanted to defend himself, to explain that he had studied, that he had tried. But he knew that would only make things worse. So he bowed again. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will do my best to learn." Guards came forward and led him away. As he left the throne room, Cole looked back one last time. Princess Salira had returned to her throne. She was not looking at him anymore. To her, he had already been forgotten, but Cole had seen something in that brief moment when their eyes had met. Behind her anger and her pride, there had been something else. Curiosity, perhaps, or loneliness. He could not be sure. The doors closed behind him, and Cole was alone in the hallway with his guards. 3 months. He had 3 months to change her mind, to prove that humans were more than she believed, to show her that the youngest species in the galaxy had something to offer. It seemed impossible, but Cole had never been very good at accepting that word. The outer palace was still more beautiful than anything on Earth. Cole's room had a bed made of something softer than silk. The walls changed color with his mood. A window looked out over gardens filled with flowers that sang when the wind touched them. But none of it mattered. He was here as a failure, not a guest. Counselor Mithrin arrived at dawn the next morning. The tall Volanti looked at Cole with something close to disgust. "You have 3 months, Mithrin said. In that time, I must teach you everything that a Volanti child learns in their first 50 years. It is not possible. But the Emperor has commanded it, so we will try." The lessons began immediately. Cole learned that the Volanti language had 12 different levels of formality. Using the wrong one was a grave insult. He learned that their history was divided into 7 great ages, each lasting thousands of years. He learned that their religion taught that the universe itself was alive, that stars had souls, and that all beings were connected through an invisible web of energy. He learned. And he failed, and he learned again. Mithrin was not a patient teacher. Every mistake Cole made was met with a sharp correction. Every question was answered with another question. After the first week, Cole was exhausted. His head hurt from trying to remember everything. His tongue was sore from practicing sounds that human mouths were not designed to make, but he did not give up. Cole woke before dawn every day. He practiced his language skills while he ate breakfast. He walked through the palace gardens in the evening, reciting formal phrases until the night guards recognized him by sight. He read Valanthi poetry until his eyes burned. He studied their art until he could name every famous painter from the last 10,000 years. Mithrin noticed the change. After the second week, "You are trying harder than I expected," the counselor admitted one afternoon. "Most humans would have given up by now." "I am not most humans," Cole replied. "No," Mithrin said slowly. "Perhaps you are not." The days turned into weeks. Cole's Valanthi improved. His understanding of their culture grew deeper. He began to see the beauty in their traditions, the wisdom in their philosophy. They were not just an ancient people. They were a people who had learned from thousands of years of mistakes. They had built something lasting, something meaningful, and they were afraid that humans would destroy it. One night, Cole could not sleep. He had spent the day studying Valanthi music, and strange melodies kept playing in his head. He decided to walk in the gardens, hoping the cool air would clear his mind. The palace gardens at night were magical. Bioluminescent plants glowed softly in shades of blue and green. Fountains filled with glowing water sang quiet songs. The 3 moons of Valanthi Prime hung in the sky like silver coins. Cole walked along a path he had walked many times before. He was so lost in thought that he almost did not see her. Princess Salira stood alone by the largest fountain. Her skin glowed softly in the moonlight, shifting between shades of blue and violet. She was looking up at the moons, and there was something sad in her expression. Cole stopped. He was not sure what to do. Protocol said he should leave immediately. He had not earned the right to be in her presence without an official invitation. But something kept him frozen in place. "You may approach, human." Her voice startled him. She had not turned around. She had not even moved. But she knew he was there. Cole walked forward carefully. He stopped at a respectful distance and bowed. "Your Highness, I apologize for disturbing you. I did not know you would be here." "I come here often," she said. She still did not look at him. "It is one of the few places in this palace where I can be alone, where no one watches me or waits for me to make a mistake." Cole was not sure how to respond. This was not the cold, proud princess who had rejected him in the throne room. This was someone else. Someone tired. Someone lonely. "I understand that feeling," he said quietly. Now she turned to look at him. Her silver eyes studied his face for a long moment. "Do you? You are a human. Your life is so short. How can you understand the weight of thousands of years of expectation?" "My life may be short," Cole agreed, "but that does not make the weight any lighter. I carry the hopes of my entire species on my shoulders. Every word I say, every choice I make, will affect how the Valanthi see humanity for generations. If I fail, Earth may never get another chance." Salira was quiet for a moment. Then she did something unexpected. She laughed. It was a small sound, quickly stopped, but it changed everything. "Counselor Mithrin was right about you," she said. "He told me you were different. He said you practice more than any diplomat he has ever taught. He finds it remarkable." "I want to do this right," Cole said simply. "My people have made enough mistakes with first contacts. I will not add to that list." "And yet you still make mistakes," Salira said. "Your pronunciation of the formal address is still slightly wrong. You bow at the wrong angle. You look people in the eyes for too long. Then teach me." The words came out before Cole could stop them. He saw surprise flash across her face. "What did you say?" "Teach me," he repeated. "You know your culture better than anyone." You know what I am doing wrong. Help me fix it. Celira studied him again. Her skin shifted through several colors that Cole could not read. Finally, she spoke. Return here tomorrow night. Same time. Tell no one. Cole bowed. Thank you, Your Highness. Do not thank me yet, human. I have not decided if this is wisdom or foolishness. She turned back to the fountain. Now go, before someone sees us. Cole walked away quickly. His heart was beating fast, but not from fear. Something had changed tonight. Something important. He did not know what it meant yet, but he knew that it mattered. The next night, Cole returned to the garden. Celira was waiting for him. Your bow, she said without greeting. Show me. Cole bowed as he had been taught. Celira shook her head. Wrong. The angle should be exactly 43 degrees when addressing royalty. You're at 41. Watch. She demonstrated, and Cole practiced until his back hurt. Then she corrected his pronunciation. Then his hand gestures. Then the way he walked out the lessons continued for hours. Celira was a strict teacher, even stricter than Mithrin. But there was something different about learning from her. She did not just tell him what to do. She explained why. She told him stories about her ancestors, about the reasons behind each tradition. She brought Volanti culture to life in a way that no book could dot, and sometimes, between lessons, they talked. Cole told her about Earth. He described blue oceans and green forests and mountains covered in white snow. He told her about human music, about how different cultures had created different sounds that all meant the same thing: joy, sorrow, love, hope. He told her about human stubbornness, about how his people had refused to accept that space was too big, that the stars were too far, that they were too small to matter. Celira listened to everything. And slowly, so slowly that Cole almost did not notice, the coldness in her eyes began to thaw. Your people confuse me, she admitted one night. You are so fragile. You live such short lives. A Volanti can live for thousands of years. I have already lived for 800. And yet, you have accomplished in 2 centuries what took us 10,000 years. Maybe that is because we know we do not have time to waste, Cole said. Every generation has to push harder, dream bigger. We cannot wait. We cannot be patient. If we want to see something happen, we have to make it happen now. Celira's skin shifted to a deep violet. Cole had learned that this meant she was thinking deeply about something. We Volanti have grown slow, she said quietly. We have so much time that we forget to use it. We assume that tomorrow will always come. Perhaps that is why my father agreed to meet with your people. Perhaps he hopes you will remind us what urgency feels like. Cole smiled. And here I thought he just wanted to show off his prowess. Celira laughed again. This time, she did not try to hide it, and in that moment, under the light of 3 moons, something began to grow between them. Something neither of them had expected. Something that would change everything. 6 weeks passed. The secret lessons in the garden became the best part of Cole's days. He still studied with Counselor Mithrin in the mornings. He still practiced alone in the afternoons. But the nights belonged to S.A.E. Lyra. She taught him things that no outsider had ever learned. The hidden meanings in Volanti poetry. The true stories behind the official history. The secret philosophy that the royal family passed down through generations. She opened doors that had been closed to humans since the beginning of time. And Cole taught her too. He brought her human music on a small device he had hidden in his luggage. She listened with her eyes closed, her skin shifting through colors he had never seen before. He told her stories from Earth mythology, about gods and heroes and monsters. He explained human jokes, which she did not always understand but tried to laugh at anyway. He showed her pictures of his home, a small town in a place called Oregon, where rain fell almost every day, and the forests were so green they seemed to glow. "It is beautiful," she said, looking at a photograph of a river cutting through tall trees. "Different from Volanti Prime. Softer, wilder. I miss it sometimes," Cole admitted. "The smell of rain on pine trees. The sound of rivers. The way the fog sits in the valleys in the morning. Will you return there when your mission is complete?" Cole was quiet for a moment. "I do not know. It depends on what happens here." Celira looked at him, and there was something in her eyes that had not been there before. Something warm. Something afraid. "Cole," she said. It was the first time she had used his first name. "There is something I need to tell you." But before she could continue, a voice came from the darkness. "Your Highness." They both turned. Counselor Mithrin stepped out of the shadows. His face showed no emotion, but his skin had shifted to a pale gray. Cole had learned that this meant disapproval. "Counselor," Celira said. Her voice was calm, but Cole could see her hand shaking slightly. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same question, Princess." Mithrin's silver eyes moved from Celira to Cole and back again. "Does your father know about these meetings?" "My father does not control every moment of my life." "Perhaps he should." Mithrin stepped closer. "The human has made progress, I will admit. But this is beyond progress. This is dangerous." "Nothing dangerous has happened here," Celira said firmly. "I have been helping Lieutenant Harris understand our culture. Nothing more. And does understanding our culture require meeting in secret? In the middle of the night? With no guards or witnesses?" Mithrin shook his head. "I am not a fool, Princess. I have seen the way you look at each other. I have heard the way your voice changes when you speak of him. This cannot continue." Celira's skin flashed red with anger. "You forget your place, Counselor. I am the heir to the Venthari throne. I do not answer to you." "No," Mithrin agreed. "But you do answer to your father, and I must answer to him as well. I have a duty to report what I have seen." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Cole felt his stomach turn cold. "Please," he said, "do not do this. Whatever is happening between us, it is not worth starting a war over. I will leave. I will go back to my quarters and never speak to the princess again." "Just do not. It is too late for that," Mithrin said. "The Emperor has already been told. You have both been summoned to the throne room now." The walk to the throne room was the longest of Cole's life. Celira walked beside him, her face set in a mask of calm. But Cole could see the fear beneath it. She had risked everything for their friendship. And now that risk was about to cost her. The throne room was empty, except for Emperor Kale. He sat on his crystal throne, watching them approach with ancient eyes. There was no warmth in his expression. There was no anger either. Just cold calculation. "Lieutenant Harris," the Emperor said, "my daughter has spoken highly of your progress. Perhaps too highly." Cole bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I can explain. Can you?" The Emperor leaned forward. "Can you explain why my daughter, the heir to an empire of 12 star systems, has been meeting secretly with a human diplomat? Can you explain why she has been teaching you secrets that have been kept from outsiders for 10,000 years? Can you explain what you have given her in return?" Cole felt the weight of those questions pressing down on him. He could see Celira from the corner of his eye. She was standing very still, her skin shifting rapidly through colors he could not read. "I have given her nothing improper," Cole said carefully. "I have given her understanding, knowledge of my people, friendship, nothing more. Friendship." The Emperor's voice was flat. "And is that all you want from my daughter? Friendship?" The question was a trap. Cole knew it. Any answer he gave would be wrong. If he said yes, he would be lying, and the Emperor would know it. If he said no, he would be admitting to something that could never be allowed. What I want does not matter, Cole said finally. I know my place. I am a human. She's the princess of the Volanthi Empire. There can be nothing between us but respect and understanding. A careful answer. The Emperor stood from his throne and walked down the steps toward them. He was tall, even for a Volanthi, and up close Cole could see the weight of centuries in his face. But I am not interested in careful answers. I am interested in the truth. He stopped in front of Cole and stared at him with silver eyes that seemed to see through everything. Do you love my daughter, human? The throne room was silent. Cole could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. He looked at Celira. She was watching him with an expression he could not read. Fear? Hope? Both? Yes, Cole said. I do. Celira made a small sound. The Emperor's expression did not change. I thought so. He turned and walked back to his throne. This presents a problem. My daughter is promised to the son of Lord Varn, ruler of the Seventh System. The marriage will unite two powerful houses and strengthen the empire. It has been arranged for 300 years. I did not know, Cole said quietly. Of course you did not. It is not something we share with outsiders. The Emperor sat down and looked at them both. I am not unreasonable, Lieutenant Harris. I understand that the heart does not always follow the rules. But I cannot allow this to continue. The stability of my empire depends on it. What do you want me to do? Cole asked. The Emperor gestured to a guard, who brought forward an ornate golden box. Inside, resting on purple velvet, was a medallion covered in Volanthi symbols. This is a seal of departure. It will grant you safe passage to any system in our empire. Take it, leave tonight, and your diplomatic mission will be considered successful. Earth will have its trade agreement. Your people will benefit. And you will never see my daughter again. Cole stared at the medallion. Everything he had worked for was being offered to him. The mission would succeed. Earth would prosper. All he had to do was walk away. He looked at Celira. A single tear was running down her violet cheek. And if I refuse? Cole asked. The Emperor smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then you will have to prove yourself worthy of remaining. Tomorrow at dawn, you will face the trial of stars. If you survive, we will discuss the future. If you do not, the problem solves itself. Father, no, Celira said, stepping forward. The trial of stars has not been performed in 300 years. The last person who attempted it died. You cannot. I can, the Emperor said firmly. And I will. The choice is the humans to make. Cole looked at the medallion, then at Celira, then at the Emperor. I will take the trial, he said. Celira's skin went pale. The Emperor nodded slowly. So be it. You have until dawn to prepare. I suggest you use the time wisely. Cole bowed and turned to leave. As he reached the door, he heard Celira's voice behind him. Cole, wait. He stopped but did not turn around. I am sorry, she whispered. I should never have let this happen. Do not be sorry, Cole said quietly. I am not. And he walked out into the night to face whatever morning would bring. Cole did not go back to his quarters. Instead, he walked to the gardens one last time. The singing flowers were quiet now, and the bioluminescent plants cast long shadows across the paths. He found a bench near the fountain where he had first spoken to Celira and sat down. He was going to die tomorrow. He knew it. The Trial of Stars was designed for Volanthi warriors who had trained for centuries. They had senses that humans did not possess. They could feel the movement of energy through space, could sense the presence of objects without seeing them. Cole had none of these abilities. He was just a man from a small planet who had fallen in love with someone he could never have. You should be sleeping. Cole looked up. Celira stood at the edge of the path, her skin glowing softly in the darkness. She had been crying. He could see the traces on her cheeks. "I could not sleep," he said. She walked over and sat beside him on the bench. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "You have to leave," Celira said finally. "Take the medallion. Go back to Earth. Complete your mission and forget about me." "I cannot do that. You will die, Cole." Her voice cracked. "The Trial of Stars requires you to fly a ship through the shattered veil without any navigation systems. It is a region of space filled with the debris of a destroyed planet. The debris is always moving, always changing. Even Volanti pilots have died trying to cross it." "How did they cross it?" Cole asked. "The ones who survived?" Celira shook her head. "They did not use their eyes or their instruments. They used their sense for the universe. The Volanti can feel the energy that connects all things. We can sense where objects are without seeing them. We navigate by instinct, by opening ourselves to the pulse of existence." "You taught me about that," Cole said. "The web of energy that connects everything. You said the universe is alive. I told you stories. I did not teach you how to feel it." Celira grabbed his hands. Her skin was warm against his. "This is not something that can be learned in weeks or months. It takes centuries. You are human. Your senses are limited. You cannot do this." Cole looked at her. In the soft glow of the garden lights, she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. And she was afraid. Not for herself. For him. "Tell me about the web," he said. "What?" "The energy that connects everything. Tell me about it. Not the stories. Tell me what it feels like. Tell me how you experience it." Celira stared at him for a moment. Then she closed her eyes. "It is like breathing, like the air around you is alive and aware. Every object has a presence, a weight that you can feel even with your eyes closed. The stars have souls, and if you quiet your mind enough, you can hear them singing. The universe is not empty. It is full of life and energy and connection. And you can feel all of that? Every Volanti can. It is part of who we are." She opened her eyes. "But you are not Volanti. You cannot feel what we feel." "Maybe not the same way," Cole said slowly. "But maybe I do not need to feel it the same way. Maybe I just need to feel it." Celira looked confused. "What do you mean?" Cole stood up and walked to the edge of the fountain. He looked up at the 3 moons hanging in the sky. "When I was a child," he said, "I used to lie in the grass behind my house and look at the stars. I would try to count them, but there were always too many. And I would feel so small, so insignificant. Just one tiny person on one tiny planet in one tiny corner of the universe." He turned back to Celira. "But then my father told me something. He said that the atoms in my body were made in the hearts of dying stars. He said that the iron in my blood, the calcium in my bones, the oxygen in my lungs, all of it came from stars that exploded billions of years ago. He said that I was not separate from the universe. I was part of it, made of it, connected to it. That is not wrong," Celira said slowly. "The Volanti believe something similar. Then maybe humans can feel the connection too. Not in the same way you do, but in our own way." Cole knelt in front of her and took her hands again. "Teach me, Celira. Teach me how to open myself to the universe. I have one night. Let me spend it learning from you. It is not enough time. It is all the time I have." He smiled at her, and there was no fear in his eyes. Only determination. Humans have done impossible things before. We walked on our moon less than a century after we learned to fly. We crossed the space between stars less than 2 centuries after that. We do not accept impossible. We just find another way." Celira looked at him for a long time. Then she nodded. "Close your eyes," Cole obeyed. "Now breathe. Slowly, deeply. Feel the air entering your lungs. Feel it leaving. Focus on nothing else. Just the breath. Cole breathed in, out, and out. Good. Now expand your awareness. Do not think about individual objects. Think about the space around you. The air, the ground beneath you, the sky above you. Feel how it all connects, how it all flows together. Cole tried. At first, he felt nothing but his own heartbeat. But as the minutes passed, something began to shift. The darkness behind his eyes was not empty anymore. It was full of something. Movement, energy, life. I feel something, he whispered. Do not speak. Just feel. Let it wash over you. Do not try to control it. Just accept it. They sat together for hours. Celira guided him deeper and deeper into the meditation. She taught him how to sense the presence of objects without seeing them. She showed him how to feel the rhythm of the universe, the slow heartbeat of existence itself. By the time the first sun began to rise, Cole was exhausted. But he understood something he had never understood before. The universe is alive, he said, opening his eyes. Celira nodded. Yes, and I am part of it. Yes. Cole stood up. His legs were stiff from sitting so long, but his mind was clear. Clearer than it had ever been. I need to go. The trial will begin soon. Celira stood up and faced him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she stepped forward and pressed her lips to his dot. It was a brief kiss, soft and warm and filled with everything they had not been able to say. When she pulled away, there were tears in her silver eyes. Come back to me, she whispered. I will, Cole said. I promise. He walked out of the garden and toward the hangar where his ship was waiting. The shattered veil awaited him. A region of space that had killed Volanti warriors with centuries of training. A test that no human had ever faced. But Cole was not afraid anymore. He had felt the pulse of the universe. He had touched something bigger than himself. And he knew, with a certainty that went beyond logic, that he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The ship was small and simple. All of its navigation systems had been removed, just as the Emperor had ordered. Cole climbed into the pilot's seat and strapped himself in. A voice crackled over the radio. Lieutenant Harris, you have 1 hour to cross the shattered veil. If you do not emerge on the other side within that time, you will be considered lost. Do you understand? I understand, Cole said. Then may the stars guide you. The hangar doors opened, and Cole flew out into the void. The shattered veil was beautiful and terrible. Millions of fragments of a dead planet floated through space, spinning and colliding and creating new debris with every impact. There was no pattern to it, no path that a computer could calculate. It was chaos made solid. Cole closed his eyes. He breathed in, out, in, out. He felt the universe around him, the energy flowing between stars, the slow spin of galaxies, the heartbeat of existence. And then he began to fly. He did not think. He did not plan. He simply moved, trusting his instincts, trusting the connection he had felt in the garden. The debris whirled around him, and somehow, impossibly, he was always exactly where he needed to be. He dodged fragments that he could not see. He flew through gaps that should not have existed. For 6 hours, he danced through the shattered veil. And then, suddenly, he was through. Cole opened his eyes. Clear space stretched out before him. He had done it. He had survived. He turned his ship around and flew back toward Volanti Prime. He had a promise to keep. The Imperial hangar was packed with thousands of Volanti when Cole's ship touched down. Word had spread quickly. A human had entered the shattered veil. A human had survived. It was impossible. It was unheard of. And yet, here he was, climbing out of his battered ship with a tired smile on his face. Emperor Kale stood at the front of the crowd, his ancient face showing no emotion. Beside him, Princess Celira was crying openly, her skin glowing with colors that Cole had never seen before. Joy, relief, love, all mixed together in a display that no Volanthe royal had ever shown in public. Cole walked forward and stopped in front of the Emperor. He was exhausted. His hands were shaking, but he stood straight and bowed properly, exactly at the correct angle, just as Celira had taught him. "Your Majesty," he said, "I have completed the trial of stars." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Around them, thousands of Volanthe held their breath. "So you have," Cale said finally. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the entire hangar. "In 10,000 years, only 17 Volanthe have successfully crossed the Shattered Veil. Most of them were warriors with centuries of training. The youngest was 400 years old." He paused. "You are 32. "Yes, Your Majesty." "How did you do it?" Cole thought about the question. He thought about the night in the garden, about Celira's teachings, about the moment when he had felt the universe breathing around him. "Your daughter taught me," he said. "She showed me that the universe is alive, that we are all connected to it, that if I could quiet my mind and trust that connection, I would find my way." He paused. "And I thought about her. Every moment in that debris field, I thought about coming back to her, about keeping my promise. That kept me focused. That kept me alive." Emperor Cale looked at his daughter. Celira met his gaze without flinching. The tears were still on her face, but her expression was determined. "Father," she said, "I will not marry Lord Varen's son. I do not care about the alliance. I do not care about tradition. This human crossed the Shattered Veil for me. He risked his life for me. No one has ever done that before. No one has ever loved me that much." "You would give up your position?" the Emperor asked. "Your inheritance? Everything you were born to protect?" "If I have to, yes," the crowd murmured. This was unprecedented. A princess of the Ventheri line willing to abandon everything for a human. It was scandal. It was madness. It was love. Emperor Cale looked between his daughter and the human who had stolen her heart. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, the Emperor began to laugh. It was not a cruel laugh. It was warm and genuine, and it transformed his ancient face into something almost young. "I had forgotten," he said, "what it was like to be young. To feel so strongly that nothing else matters." He shook his head. "I was like you once, Celira. Did you know that? Your mother was not the match my parents had chosen for me. She was the daughter of a minor noble, far beneath my station. But I loved her anyway. And when my father tried to separate us, I threatened to give up everything." Celira's eyes widened. "I never knew that. It is not something we speak of. But it is true." The Emperor turned to Cole. "My daughter loves you, human. She is willing to sacrifice her future for you. The question is, are you willing to do the same for her?" "I already have," Cole said. "The moment I refused the medallion, I gave up my easy path home. The moment I entered the Shattered Veil, I accepted that I might die. And I would do it again. 1,000 times. For her." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Then we have much to discuss." The negotiations that followed were unlike anything in galactic history. They lasted for 3 weeks. Diplomats from Earth were summoned. Lords from across the Volanthe Empire demanded to be heard. The marriage contract with Lord Varen's son had to be dissolved, which required payments and apologies and promises of future favors. But through it all, Cole and Celira stayed together. They attended every meeting side by side. They answered every question. They faced every criticism. And slowly, one by one, the objections faded away. Lord Varen was furious at first. His son had been promised a princess, and he demanded compensation. But when he met Cole and heard the story of the shattered veil, his anger turned to grudging respect. "You did something no Volanthi has done in 300 years, Varan admitted. "I cannot dismiss that, no matter how much I want to." The human diplomats were confused. They had been sent to negotiate a trade agreement, not a royal wedding. But they quickly realized that this was better than anything they had hoped for. A human married to the Volanthi heir meant a permanent connection between the two civilizations. It meant peace. It meant partnership. It meant a future. Finally, the day came for the official announcement. Cole stood beside Salira in the throne room, facing a crowd of thousands. Cameras broadcast the image across 100 worlds. Humans and Volanthi watched together as Emperor Kale spoke. "For 10,000 years, the Volanthi Empire has stood alone. We have looked at younger species and seen only their weaknesses. We have closed ourselves off from the galaxy, certain that we had nothing to learn from those who came after us." He paused and looked at Cole. "This human has shown us how wrong we were. He came to us with humility and a desire to learn. He faced rejection with grace. He accepted challenges that would have broken lesser beings. And he proved that the courage of the heart knows no species, no age, no limitation." The Emperor took Salira's hand and placed it in Cole's. "My daughter has chosen our path, and I have chosen to support her. Let it be known throughout the Empire. Lieutenant Cole Harris of Earth is hereby accepted into the Venthari family. He will stand beside Princess Salira as her partner and equal. And when the time comes, they will rule together." The crowd erupted in sound. Some cheered, some protested, but most simply watched in amazement as history was made before their eyes. Cole looked at Salira. She was smiling, her skin glowing with pure happiness. "Are you ready for this?" she asked quietly. "No," Cole admitted, "but I have never been ready for anything that happened since I met you. I figure I will learn as I go." She laughed and squeezed his hand. The wedding was held 1 month later. It was the largest celebration the Volanthi Empire had ever seen. Ships from across the galaxy gathered above Volanthi Prime. Humans and aliens stood side by side in the palace gardens, watching as Cole and Salira spoke. Vows in 2 languages. Cole's family came from Earth. His mother cried through the entire ceremony. His father shook Emperor Kale's hand and said something that made the ancient ruler laugh. His younger sister spent the whole reception asking Volanthi nobles questions about their technology. When the ceremony was complete, Cole and Salira stood together on the palace balcony, looking out at the crowd below. "What happens now?" Cole asked. "Now we build something new," Salira said. "A bridge between our peoples. A future that neither of us could have imagined alone." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "It will not be easy. There will be challenges. There will be people who never accept us. I know. But we will face them together." Cole smiled and put his arm around her. "Together," he agreed. Below them, the crowd cheered. Above them, the 3 moons of Volanthi Prime shone down on a new beginning. And across the galaxy, on a small blue planet called Earth, millions of humans looked up at the stars and saw something they had never seen before. Hope, not just for trade agreements or political alliances, but for something deeper. A reminder that the universe was not cold and empty. That connection was possible. That love could cross the vast distances between worlds. Cole Harris had come to Volanthi Prime as a diplomat from a young civilization. He had been rejected, tested, nearly killed. But he had never given up. And in the end, he had won something greater than any treaty could offer. He had won a future, not just for himself, but for everyone who would come after him. Humans and Volanthi working together, learning from each other, growing together. It was just the beginning. But it was a good beginning. And sometimes that is all any story needs.